Hello everyone and welcome my dear students to my shorter tutorial, A Simple Guide to Successful Paraphrasing. You know that writers, researchers, even students writing their graduation projects, they need other sources, information written in other text, articles, whatever. So there are different ways of using these informations and these sources, but it's not always comprehended, so it's not always recommended that you use the exact words because you will be considered plagiarizing the text. So there are different ways of avoiding that acquisition. Is that you use, for example, direct quotes. So this is when you put quotation marks in order to indicate to your readers that these are not your own words. And of course, you should cite the source at the end. But again, direct quotes are not always recommended because you will not be considered wholly understanding you will not be considered like you understand the whole text. You need to indicate indicate that you understood the whole idea of the author. So another way is to summarize the text, or you elaborate. Either you summarize, you condense the information, or you elaborate, you add more in order to make it more more comprehensive. Well, with summary, you use direct quotes and then summary. Okay, direct quotes are good, summary is better, but the best thing is you paraphrase. You add the cherry on the cake, as I say, because paraphrasing makes things the best. Make your paragraph the best thing, because it will not the words you use, if you use the author's same words, then the plagiarism detector will highlight these words, saying that these are not your own words. So we said direct quotes, summarizing, elaborating, and then paraphrasing. So with paraphrasing, as I said, is putting the cherry on the cake. So let's see what paraphrasing means. Is that you rephrase the author's main idea and make sure it's in your own words, restating them in simplified ways to make them easily comprehended by your readers. So how can we paraphrase? Most importantly is that you show that you've understood the meaning. So you read several times. You write main concept, and it's fine if the key concepts are used in for example, as they are, because you can't use any other term. And then you write the version of your text without looking at the original text. Then you start comparing between your text and the original ones, making minor adjustments to phrases that remain too similar. Again, this is the most important thing, is that you don't keep words similar. Okay, and then don't forget, if you paraphrase or you summarize, this doesn't mean that the ideas are your own, because you are only changing the words, not ideas. So the ideas are not yours. So you should cite the source where you found the idea. Important tips. Look here. Okay, is paraphrasing about only changing the words? No, of course. It's about changing structures. You should change the structure of the sentence. You should change the start of your sentence. You break sentences into you break information, trying to describe them in shorter sentences, or that's when I say you elaborate, or when you, for example, condense information. All of these things, you starting from a different position, from a different point of view from that of the original text, and changing the structure, elaborating, condensing, all these are useful tips. But using synonyms is the cherry on the cake that makes your paraphrase the best. So look at this sentence. The traffic signal was red. Okay, what does it mean? The traffic signal was red. It means, okay, when you are driving in the street, you should stop once you see that the signal was red. Okay, and then when the traffic signal went red, everybody should stop. Drivers should stop. So you can paraphrase it like, cars were not allowed to move because of the red signal. The signal was red, so cars stopped. Cars were not moving because of the traffic signal. The red signal was on, so cars stopped. You see, all of these sentences, these 4 sentences, in fact, kept the main idea and changed the word to explain the text more. So the main idea is that the red signal was red signal, the traffic signal. We kept it as the main theme of the sentence, and then we start to elaborate, or as we said, traffic signal means no cars moving. So the main idea is kept the same, but we use more words. We used other different words to clarify or explain the text more. The most important thing is that you paraphrase to simplify, not to complicate things. Look at this example. We will see how these tips are reflected in the paragraph. This is the original text. Okay, when you try to paraphrase this text, you read it several times and you try to highlight the main ideas. You see here, going back to 250 years in America, you don't find people interested in. That's the summary of the idea, is that people were not interested in experience, in wilderness experience. So it's not. How to summarize this sentence, to paraphrase this sentence, and summarizing it is that it was not very popular. People don't go, wandering in wildlife. So you start, thinking that, okay, either it's not very popular, not very common. You see, all these 4 lines could be summarized in saying these are not very common. And by the way, you are not using any of the words in this sentence, right? You're not using any word. When we say wilderness experience was not very common before, going back to 250 years ago, it doesn't mean, you say, we are not using the same word, but we communicated the same idea. Look at this. As late as the 18th century, it means, okay, before the 18th century, the word wilderness was far different. Look, I've underlined main ideas here. It was far different from the ones they attract today, because they were anything but positive. So it means, okay, it was negative, and it has the meaning of terror. It has the meaning of terror and bewilderment. So basically, the first sentence can be, paraphrased as, wilderness experience was not very common. People didn't go wandering in forest or in woods. So we have these this main idea of this sentence, that this was not a very popular thing. This is number 1. And then the second idea is that it was not, before the 18th century, it was not positive thing, because it was connotated with bewilderment, terror, fear. Okay, so now we have these 3 sentences. We highlight the main ideas for each sentence, and then let's see how people, by the way, this is from thescriptor.com. So if you go to the website, you can find this example, because this is not mine. Anyway, this is used as to show you how you can simplify and how we can paraphrase in a simplified way. Just read every sentence, highlight, underline, make things clearer to yourself before it's clear to anybody, to your readers, because this, once you understood it, you will be the best one to restate it. Okay, so the first thing is that we said the sentence number 1 means that the main theme was not very popular, not very common, and it was not, sentence number 2, it was not very positive. And sentence number 3, it means that it has the meaning of terror. Let's look at this text. Okay, the first tip, if you go back to the tip slide, you will find that it's important that the writer, that the researcher, starts at a different point from the original text. Yes, this tip is applied and followed in this paragraph. What today we would call the wilderness experience was not very popular. Okay, this is what we highlighted in the original text. But oh my God, look at this. Look at this sentence. Yes, the writer made sure that tip number 1 was applied, but look at the second sentence. if we go back, oh my God, it's the same. As late as the 18th century, the most common usage of the word blah, 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 blah. As the late 20th century, wilderness English most commonly referred to landscape that carried far. Look, the words are kind of the same words of the original text. So that's why the text is considered plagiarized, because the author did not, the researcher did not restate the whole thing. He just restated sentence number 1 and sentence number 3, while sentence number 2 is the same. That's why it's plagiarized. If we look at the paraphrase one, simply stated, clearly to the point. Before the 18th century, the word wilderness had different associations than it does today, because previously it was, negative. Far from being tourist attraction, look here, the researcher added something, new, because now wilderness is, considered tourist attraction. So wilderness areas were considered bleak, barren places that inspired fear and confusion. Look, the word inspired fear and confusion, whereas in the original text it says connotation. The meaning of the words had to do with terror, bewilderment. So here, look how the writer here used the word inspired creatively in order to communicate the same ideas. So because it had to do with confusion, fear, that's why it is to be avoided, that actively sought out nowadays. Conclusion. Though this tutorial is a very simple and to the point, but there are 3 simple points to be kept in mind. The meaning should be stated using other words, your own words, not the words in the text. And why? Because using the different words to restate the text are to be used in order to achieve a clearer meaning, not to complicate the meaning. You see? Because readers are going, to consult your writing in order to understand, to help them understand the original one. And make sure that you change words, not ideas. So, you might ask, I believe that people will ask that, okay, we have online paraphrasing tools. Are they recommended? Well, kind of, they are when you are trying to test or check your paraphrase against paraphrasing against that of the machine. But, imagine that you use the same source other students has used, and both of you use the same tool, then the tool will yield the same text, and then 2 students will be using the paraphrase text, and then you will be plagiarizing from each other. That's why I prefer that you use your own paraphrasing, use your own ideas, you create, you try to be creative, you try to look at the meaning. By the way, you don't have to look at the dictionary for every word. You might understand it, and then you just try to state the ideas, in the way you comprehended it. But yes, tools are not very recommended, because your practice is highly recommended, and you might at the very early stages of your writing need the dictionary, but as you get more and more practice, then you will not need a dictionary. Okay, so I prefer, my dear students, that you start working on paraphrasing, you start practicing and training until you become a qualified paraphraser, and you might exceed the power of the online tools. Thank you very much, and I wish you all the luck.